Oh, the landscape's just really coming to life right now. Still a fantastic view down the valley. You can see the Tatoosh Range. This is Unicorn Peak over here. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, welcome back one more time to winter, Mount Rainier National Park. You know, it's almost halfway through March, but at Mount Rainier at 5,500 feet and above, it's still in the throes of winter. But I know that spring is on the way, and we've had some recent snowfall that I wanted to take advantage of, and so made my way out to the park, to a different area. The last time I was here, like a month or back in January, I think. Totally different conditions. It was snowing all day. The photography was really hard, but today is different. There are some patches in the sky, intermittent light. It's about just like 10:30 in the morning, so I am working my way to the eastern edge of Mazama Ridge, which is right here. And there's a destination in the summertime, well, it's there in the winter too, called Sluiskin Falls, and so that area is where I'm headed. But it's the middle of March, and so working my way uphill, but I wanted to get up to Mount Rainier at least one more time and try and take advantage of these pristine winter conditions. It's about 25 degrees Fahrenheit, so what is that? -5, -4 Celsius. But I'm already a little winded from climbing up from the parking lot. But I'm going to work my way around. And I will check in with you along the way. I'm in no hurry to get there because sunset this evening is well after 6 o'clock, so I have plenty of time to scout out an area to camp and also to scout out some compositions. So making my way, traversing safely over to the far eastern end of Mazama Ridge. All right, guys, a quick update. When you're in avalanche terrain, it's important to avoid avalanche slopes. The prime avalanche slope is 43 degrees. So I purposely have been traversing through the trees, but now, unfortunately, I find myself at this traverse, and I don't feel comfortable going forward. The avalanche danger today is either considerable or moderate, depending on what you consider the tree line. So what is the danger? Probably low, but no danger is worth it. So these clumps that you see here are actually not avalanche debris. It's actually snow that has fallen off the trees and fallen down the hill. But I find myself here. It's about a 43-degree slope or thereabouts, and I have to traverse an open slope with no trees to protect me or give me any cover. So unfortunately, that is not a safe way. So I need to go back the way I came and find another way. Well, just a quick update. So I made my way safely back to the road. The road is just here, actually. You can, there's a couple snowshoers there. But I came down this and I traversed across from where I turned around. So traversing in snowshoes is not recommended. But safely back to the road. So I'm gonna walk around the road here and try to access it from a different area. Unfortunately, I had to lose quite a bit of elevation, and so I have to regain that back up to the top of the ridge. The reason I'm going to the ridge is I wanted to be up there for both sunset, but really for sunrise. If the weather forecast holds and there's any clearing overnight, then the view from the ridge looking off to the east at sunrise should be quite nice. So, got a little bit of extra work to do now. Glasses are fogging up a bit, but I'm going to make my way down the road, and I'll check in with you in a minute. Important to flatten out the area that you're going to put your tent, but it's also important to make sure that your head isn't lower than your feet. At least for me, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. So got it pretty level. Now it's time to get the tent out and get it set up. Oh, that's really good. So, made myself some Starbucks Instant Via, and it really hits the spot. Everything's warm right now. If you notice on the video, I've put on my heavyweight Feathered Friends down jacket, so my upper body is fine. Legs are fine. The only thing that are cold are my feet, just because I've been standing around so long. But the hot drink is going to help that. Get the extremities, get the blood flowing. I still try to keep moving around. It is now, I just checked my watch, it's about 4:30, and sunset this evening is at 7:01. So we're getting later and later into the year. Sunset becomes later and later. When I was out here, a few weeks, well, in end of January, beginning of February. Last time I was here when it was snowing so bad. The problem is when you come in the middle of winter, December, January, you'll have sunset at like 4:05 or 4:15, and sunrise won't be till after 8, and so you end up with like 14, 15 hours. Is that right? Yeah, something like that. Anyway, you end up with a lot of time in the tent, and it makes for a long night, especially if you're out solo. So one more. Oh, that's really good. So plan for this evening is I'm going to finish my coffee, and then I have now, what, 2.5 hours until sunset. The light has been changing. You can see now it's not really snowing anymore. Maybe a flurry or two, and a little bit of snow blowing off the trees. But the weather has definitely changed, and there's more light now than there was earlier. So what I'm hoping is, the sun is still pretty high in the sky. So as we get closer and closer to sunset, the sun becomes lower and lower. You get those nice indirect light. And hoping to find some compositions, probably not landscapes, although I'll take one if I can find it, but maybe some pine trees. You know, you can see the pine trees are really lovely this time of year when they're loaded with snow. So I'm going to finish my coffee. I'll have dinner a little bit later. It's a little too early for dinner right now, but have my coffee, wander around, and then probably in about an hour I'll start getting serious about finding some compositions or if the light improves. So I'll see you in a little bit. Well, I've made it up to the top of the hill here, and I did have my 70 to 200 on, but I replaced that with a brand new lens, actually. The first time I've had this out, I swapped out my Sony 24 to 70 for the 24 to 105. This is a more compact lens, so it fits in the bag a lot easier, and you can stand it straight up. It's considerably lighter than the f2.8 G Master, and gives you a little more focal reach, up to 105, which is kind of the sweet spot for some telephoto shots. And I did some research online, and based on what I've been able to determine, I haven't sacrificed any image quality. I did go from an f2.8 to an f4, but as a landscape photographer primarily, I don't need that fast aperture. So I did find a composition here. I'm just waiting on a little bit more light to set up. This is a view looking down the ridge, and some wonderful lines with the drifted snow. And I have two groups of pine trees on the left, one group of pine trees on the right. So a nicely balanced scene, and there's a lot of negative space, not empty space, a lot of negative space in the center that helps to draw the eye through the frame. So I'm liking the composition. I'm just waiting on the light. It does come and go, so with any luck, I'll be able to get something here. Well, good morning, everyone. Hot coffee, cold morning. We got a couple, maybe 2 or 3 inches of snow overnight, and got pretty cold. My thermometer says it was 14 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 10 degrees Celsius. So, had a good night in a tent. Slept pretty well in my Feathered Friends snow bunting sleeping bag. But it's now time to get up. It was daylight savings time last night, so sunrise, instead of being at 6:45, is at 7:45. So it shorted me on an hour's sleep, but that's okay because I turned in pretty early. So it's still dark. I'm shooting this at ISO 32,000. But I'm going to have my morning coffee, get around. My plan is to go out and scout some early morning compositions. It's not snowing right now, so that's good. but I also don't see any stars, so I'm not sure how good the visibility is, but once I finish my coffee, we'll go out and see. Wow, what a morning. Yeah, I came out of the tent. I wasn't expecting this. I couldn't see any stars down below, but there is, right now, there's some clouds off to the west. But if you look to the east, clouds to the south, and some really nice atmosphere to the east. I think this will set up really nice once the sun comes up a little more. But for right now, if you look this way, moonset over Mount Rainier in a winter landscape. So I've gone ahead and broken out the camera, enjoying this morning. I've put on the 16 to 35. It's a really simple composition, using some leading lines in the snow to kind of lead the eye. The moon is perfectly framed in this kind of natural V in the ridge, and so I've just framed it with some snow-covered pine trees. I have two in the center, a group on the left and a smaller group on the right. So it's just a absolutely gorgeous morning composition. You're not able to get these unless you spend the night here, because regardless of what time you get up, in the wintertime, the gate to Mount Rainier closes at 5 o'clock in the evening, and it doesn't open until no earlier than 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you want to shoot sunset and sunrise at Mount Rainier in the wintertime, you have no choice but to spend the night. Oh, the landscape's just really coming to life right now. Still a fantastic view down the valley. You can see the Tatoosh Range. This is Unicorn Peak over here. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to finish up on this valley composition. Starting to get a little bit of color in the sky. And I would like to try my hand and pick out some maybe long lens or more intimate composition looking at the Tatoosh Range. Just because it's an absolutely fantastic, beautiful morning. Well, the color is happening. I've set up down on the Tatoosh Range. I'm actually using the same peak that I did before, but now it's on the left-hand side of the composition. I have Unicorn Peak on the right third, and some wonderful color in the sky right now. Mount Rainier is catching the morning light. It's a beautiful orangish, warm-looking, but very cold, but warm-looking light on Mount Rainier. Unfortunately, no composition from here of Mount Rainier, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It's just very humbling to be out in nature like this in the morning and be in the presence of such a magnificent mountain. Really makes you understand and realize how small you are. So I think I'm gonna make this my last composition this morning, looking off at the Tatoosh Range. A wide angle shot. I'm shooting it at about 30 millimeters. Gives me more foreground, more negative space in the foreground. that is then balanced by the peaks in the midground and then the Tatoosh Range in the background. So yeah, it has been a magnificent morning. All right, back to my camp, and I'm gonna get my stove fired up, make myself some oatmeal, and then start tearing everything down, head back to the parking lot. The gate opens at 9, and it's now 8 o'clock, so I'll probably get back in time. The gate should be open by the time I get back to my car. I'd like to thank you for coming along with me on this winter's outing in Mount Rainier National Park in March, late winter's outing. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about conditions there at Mount Rainier or anything I brought with me, gear related questions, I will say that even though it was down to 14F minus 10C last night, other than a cold battery in my A7R4, which I swapped out with one that I had in my pocket, I didn't have any gear issues. So the camera and everything performed well, even in the cold temperature. So happy with that. So I'm going to end it here. And again, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you have any questions, leave those down below. And that's going to do it from Mount Rainier National Park. I will see you in the next video.